Pleasure to be here this morning. So I'm Margaret Manjon, as Juan said, and I am director at the Edward de Bono Institute at the University of Malta, where we research 5 key areas. We look into studies in creativity, critical thinking, entrepreneurship, innovation, and future studies. We offer an intensive master program and also PhD program. So we welcome any students who might wish to. There's a CEU Erasmus program in process. So we would welcome any one of you who might want to pay us a visit and spend maybe a semester or 2 with us. So in the meantime, this is going to be an interactive session this morning. So I would be very, very grateful if more people switched on their cameras. It would be lovely to see you all, especially because you will be interacting with each other. Okay, so when I will actually place you in breakout rooms, I wouldn't like to have people who end up staring, waiting for people to speak, and there's perhaps no one behind the camera. Okay, so as you can see, my approach is relatively informal. Okay, and that's how the session will take place, basically. So I am here this morning to talk about things that are perhaps more fluid than equity finance and the other subjects that we have been exploring, which are all very, very important from a tangible point of view to make your future businesses successful. I am here to take you through a thinking process that will hopefully be able to empower you to make future decisions in business, in your academic work, and also in your personal life, perhaps more confidently. Okay, so I shall start by sharing my screen. In the meantime, please feel free to unmute yourselves as we go if you have any questions and interject, because since I will have my presentation on screen, I will not necessarily see anyone who might open their mouth or put their hand up. Okay, so welcome everyone this morning. I hope that you will find our little journey of interest. I'll share my screen with you. And now you should be able to see my presentation in full screen, yes?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Good, thank you, Juan. Okay, so our lovely backdrop here. I think that this was a great idea. Lots of work, especially for Juan, CEU project, but it's fantastic to see universities coming together. So this morning we're going to explore how we can possibly turn problems into opportunity. Basically because of human nature, perhaps. We are very good at spotting problems, but perhaps sometimes find it a little bit more difficult to get out of those problems and think from a different perspective. So here this morning, we're going to explore a potential way of how to do that without necessarily reinventing the wheel. What we'll be doing, in fact, is to define creativity, because essentially this is a skill which is very, very important for all of us to capitalize on. We're going to very briefly take a look at the role of creativity in the 21st century, which has proved to be quite challenging so far. And then we're going to move on to a practical aspect. So we'll have a look at divergent thinking and some practice there, and then we'll close it all together, bring it nicely in through convergent thinking and some practice there. So this would be stages 3 and 4, where you will be working in breakout rooms, and then we'll have a discussion. So essentially, defining creativity has been an arduous job for many, many researchers over the years. However, creativity is often defined as the outcome of a process that involves novel and useful solutions. Okay, and because we're in an academic context here, I dared to sprinkle some references here and there, perhaps for future and further research for anyone who might want to take it up. So it's very important to come up with new ideas, and new does not necessarily mean that it has never been invented before. Perhaps it would be new in a specific context. Okay, reinventing the wheel all the time is very time-consuming and energy-consuming, so we don't necessarily have to do that. But perhaps we can apply principles to different concepts, so in a context. So in different contexts, the aspect of novelty can come across. Also, creativity can be manifested at the individual level, and at group level. And this is very important because sometimes we find it difficult to empower ourselves and empower others when we're working together. This is the most important aspect of it all. Some people would say, normally I ask my students, are you creative during the first lesson? And most of them don't put their hand up. Okay, and I say, what, why, but how, or what? So everyone has the potential to be creative. This is, I like to explain this using a metaphor, like going to the gym. I'm sure that most of you have tried to do some exercise sometimes. Okay, so the first time you embark on this journey, usually after New Year's Eve, after you have eaten a lot, perhaps, you start off and perhaps you struggle. The first few times you struggle a little bit because you'd be a bit rusty and all that. The more you practice, you start building muscle, you start to become agile, you start to get used to it. And it's the same thing with creativity. So we need to make a deliberate effort, which might be a little bit difficult at the beginning because it is not the normal way of how we do things. So we're kind of rewiring our potential. Okay, and then through the rewiring and with practice, it will become more and more natural.